I'm the Grim Crusader. This is the Heretic Legion.
A shroud of darkness blankets the world. Smoke and brimstone spews from the yawning gates of Inferno, enveloping the lands where people have abandoned God and openly wage war against his creation. It is a grim reality that a full third of humanity has bent its knee before the idols of hell. The main military force of Satan on earth is the Heretic Legions, raised from amongst these citizens of the damned, under special absolution from the Cardinal Protector. Many spies have been dispatched into hell's domains over the years. Most are caught, never to be seen again, save for some whose eternity-screaming heads are returned to New Antioch, branded with bleeding ruins that mock the Holy Trinity. Against all odds, some do make it back to the light, whispering of horrors that they have witnessed, of firstborn cast into the mouths of the burning statues of Baal, and human flesh sold by the pound in dreadful markets. They speak of the great idols of the golden calf and the rapturous men and women who prostrate themselves before them, carving off stripes of their own flesh in ecstatic offering. Inverted pyramids and rows and towers descended into the depths of these cities, built of iron and black stone. Within these pits stand sacrificial altars where weeping captives are slowly sliced to death over agonizing days and weeks, with wicked knives made of infernal basalt. Cathedrals dedicated to the princes of hell hung from the great arches of volcanic stone, while condemned are crucified on hundreds of upside-down crosses. Accounts speak of sprawling factories made of mutilated flesh and metal, their forges yielding endless munitions for the ongoing war. Guided by the teachings of Tartarus' smiths, alchemists toil over colossal weapons and armored behemoths wielding the forbidden secrets of their patrons' metallurgy to forge instruments of death and suffering beyond the grasp of human engineering. These are once proud cities of earth, where churches have been toppled and entire populations are now dedicated towards bringing down the very throne of heaven. Amongst the forsaken citizens enduring within hell's earthly domains, the greatest status is afforded to those who fight in the Great War. Most do this as heretic troopers who serve their liege lords in lieu of tribute. To join the army of damnation as a full-fledged legionnaire is not easy feat. Those who wish to win a place amongst the heretic legions must make an unholy pilgrimage to the burning bronze gates of hell, where the infernal heat, felt from leagues away, scars both flesh and spirit until torment becomes unbearable. Along the Valley of Tears, the great road that leads to the gate is paved with wailing souls and lamentations and littered with endless mounds of charred bodies. Many are still half alive, withering in agony, trapped in the grotesque twilight between life and death, their wickedness deemed inefficient. These discarded souls are doomed to suffer until the day of judgment. Those who make it within sight of hell's maw are considered worthy and are initiated into the legions, taking unbreakable vows and chain them into darkness for all eternity, their bodies branded with the mark of the Devil Lord that has claimed them. Armories of hell equip them for battle, and heretic priests beckon forth new supplicants as dictated by the whispers of their patron archdevils. Thus a new heretic legionnaire is born. They hail archdevils as their masters and thus damned for all eternity. There are some who push further on to the gate itself and beyond, their very flesh and nights never to recover. But those with the blackest souls can enter the inferno itself. Amongst those, the anointed are especially revered, amongst the legions. They are the paragons of the unhinged brutality, men and women of colossal vigor and unyielding devotion, having tread the accursed path to the shores of their lake of eternal flame, where the damned wither and contort into ceaseless torment. The anointed emerge forever, scarred by the embrace of the abyssal fires. The blackened and the burnt flesh of the anointed will never heal. But in exchange, they are granted the right to wear heavy Guyana armored suits, and they gain strength to wield the weapons that a normal man could barely lift. It is said that the gaze into their eyes is a glimpse in the flames of hell, forever echoed in their vision. Yet some who witness go even further in their depraved devotion. Suicide is a mortal sin, and one eagerly embraced by many. Most cry out for the devils to notice their final sacrifice in vain, as the infernal nobles are capricious and delight in betraying their own as much as their enemies. But those who truly wicked and depraved souls are resurrected in contempt of the Redeemer, coming back as choristers. Horrific mockeries of creation, whose severed heads sing unholy hymns, praised by the devil, their voice causing the ears of their enemies to bleed. Though the vast bulk of the heretic legions are made of mortal humans, hell often sends their own abhorrent progeny to reinforce their mortal foot soldiers. Nightmarish war beasts made of captured and possessed creatures, and dreaded artillery witches who act as mobile artillery supporting light assaults. Thus, in this accursed theater of war, mortals and abominations march hand in withering hand, bound by the suffering ties of damnation. The walls of tormented beasts meld with the shrieks of the damned souls, while the skies rain down fiery retribution upon all those who dare to oppose the heretics' ceaseless crusade for the demented parity with their creator. In Trench Crusade, the Heretic Legion is a formidable and tough force to play against, and they have a list in the armory of some pretty awesome equipment that you can use, just remembering the limits on what you can use and the specific weapons that can only be taken, like here, the Death Commando only rules, and Elites and Anointed only rules. Pretty awesome stuff like the Tartarus Claws, the Sacrificial Blade, the Hell Blade, the Blasphemous Staff. These particular weapons are Heretic Legion only. And remembering, you have 700 ducats to spend, so when you're looking over all this, make sure you're adding it up as you go, because it's real easy in the Heretic Legion to rack up to 700 ducats fairly quickly. The first special equipment is pretty awesome. It's a Sacrificial Knife. I usually take it as an auto take if I'm going to be playing the Heretic Legion, just because of the fact that it's a risky action which you have to roll for, but it's plus 2 dice in the injury results, and usually the normal roll of a 7 becomes a 9 and can knock your opponents out pretty quickly. The Blasphemous Staff has got the fire and critical rules. It's a one-handed weapon, and you get, with the fire, it automatically gives a blood marker on the model you're using it against, whether it gets through or not, the hit gets through or not. Also, you get plus 1 dice normally in the critical if you roll a critical, but this one with the critical keyword gives you a plus 2 dice. Pretty awesome. Now the Hellblade does plus 1 dice into injuries, and it also has that fire keyword as well. So the fire keyword, as we know, puts a blood marker automatically on it, but it causes an additional plus 1 blood marker on an enemy that hits, which is pretty cool. Now my favorite, the Tartarus Claws. Now this one here, it's a 2-handed weapon. It has to be 2-handed weapon, and it always comes in a pair, and you do not allow the use of any other melee weapons or a shield when you're using this, but you can take 2 attack actions with the claws without the usual -1 dice for the second attack. But if the opponent is taken down and out of action with either of the claws, you can take an immediate move up to 6 inches in any direction. And if you come into contact with someone else or another enemy model, it counts as a charge, and you can take another melee action. So this nasty weapon, get it around a couple models, and you can easily take them out fairly quickly if you get the right rolls, of course. Moving on, we're going to talk about the very first elite, which is the Heretic Priest. It has got a 6-inch movement. It's infantry. It's +2 dice on the ranged attack and +2 dice on the melee attack, which is pretty nasty. And if you look over here, there's no armor here. There's a 0 value on armor, but it's on a 32 millimeter base. This is important to remember is what base they go on. So when you're fabricating your models and putting them together and kit bashing them, just remember that it needs to be on a 32 millimeter base. Now, the Heretic Priest can be equipped with any weapon, armor, or equipment from the Heretic Legion Armory, which is what we looked at first. His abilities, they're pretty awesome. He has Puppet Master, so you can select a target model, friend or foe, including the priest itself, within 12 inches. As a risky action, you can move the model D6 inches in any one direction, including forcing it to jump, fall, or enter into melee combat with an enemy model, and as if it had charged, of course, or you can leave combat as if it had retreated, including granting any enemies within range free attacks. So Puppet Master can literally just move anybody on the board. And also it has tough. So tough it makes it very difficult to kill. So they are subject to rules for tough creatures. So if after the first time they die, they don't actually die. That's pretty much what that means. He also has the Elite, Heretic, Tough, and Leader special keywords. Now we have the Heretic Death Commando. You can have 0 to 1, just like you can the Heretic Priest. You can only have 1. This one you can have 0 to 1, none or some. So you absolutely have to have the Heretic Priest. But Death Commando, honestly, is something auto-take for me. +1 dice, +2 dice, melee, the armor, and this 32 millimeter base. Just remember that. It's the Death Commando. And can be equipped with any weapons, armor, equipment from the Heretic Legion Armory. The only ranged weapons they can be equipped with are the silenced pistol and the tormentor chain and a gas grenades. So the silenced pistol is that one that they were talking about up in the armory. I was talking about up in the armory that only a commando can take. It's a pretty awesome weapon. Now it has Infiltrator. Infiltrators basically can be placed anywhere on the table out of the line of sight of the enemies, but at least 8 inches away from the closest enemy. But it can be deployed after all the models without. It can be deployed after all other models without the keyword Infiltrator. So basically, it is dropping in after everything is set up. So he just shows up. It's pretty awesome. Stealth Generator. It's ranged attacks against Death Commando. They suffer -1 dice. So it's -1 dice no matter what. As a risky action with +1 dice, the commando can hide. If there's any piece of the scenery the model is touching, can block line of sight in any direction. So even partially, regardless of whether the enemy has line of sight, if successful on the risky action, enemies cannot target this commando with ranged attacks or charges whatsoever. Now, weapons with the keyword blast can affect the commando as normal if it is in a radius of that blast. Pretty cool. He can hide as a risky action. Now he fails that, obviously he's not going to be able to do that. He has the Elite and Infiltrator keywords along with Heretic because he's a Heretic. Now we're going to move to the Chorister, the Headless Man. Pretty awesome. He's got -2 dice with ranged attacks, but he has +2 with his melee attacks. You can have 0 to 1 in your warband. He's okay. I've seen him on tables. I've seen him being played. He has Unholy Hymns, so all enemy models within 8 inches of him suffer an additional -1 dice for all actions they attempt. And the Unholy Horror, and he causes fear. The keyword fear means they suffer a -1 dice penalty in melee combat, and those who cause fear are immune to fear. So he's okay. And then you have the Legionaries of Hell, the Heretic Trooper. They make up the bulk of the Heretic forces. They have witnessed the gates of hell and survived, damned them from all eternity. They're pretty cool. You have the Heretic Trooper and the Legionnaire. It's +1 dice in ranged or +1 dice in melee. So they're on a 25 millimeter base. Just remember that when you're making your Heretic troopers. And as far as equipment goes, they can be equipped with any weapon, armor, or equipment from the Heretic Legion Armory. You can upgrade up to half, rounding down, of the Heretic troopers into Heretic Legionnaires at a cost of plus 10 ducats each. You can select to upgrade either the ranged or melee characteristic of any of the Legionnaire by plus 1 dice, and you can choose different bonus for each Legionnaire. So they have the keyword Heretic. Obviously, you can upgrade them to a Legionnaire or half of them. So they're pretty cool. They're pretty staple. They have no abilities. They're just kind of thrown in there to have some fun. As far as the anointed heavy infantry goes, you can have 0 or up to 5, which that's pretty crazy for 95 ducats. If you were to have 5, that'd be close to 500 points. So I would be weary of someone who put that many of them in there. But they're always equipped with a suit of reinforced armor and infernal brand mark, which are included in the cost. So this armor can never be removed. Otherwise, they can be equipped with any weapon, armor, or equipment from the Heretic Legion Armory and may purchase a trench shield, which is what we talked about earlier as far as the army or the armory. And the only ability he has is strong. The Heretic heavy infantry ignores the effects of keywords heavy on the weapons they wield. So, and that's what strong means. So 0 to 5 of those big bad boys, and you're good to go. Now the Warwolf. The Warwolf, I love the Warwolf. 140 ducats. It's pretty expensive, but this one you cannot go without in Heretic Legion armor. I'd say this is probably another one of those staples. The nasty little quick-moving 8 inches infantry, plus 2 dice in the melee. It's got a -3 armor. That's okay. It's on a 50 millimeter base. It's a pretty large footprint, but look at all the toys he has. You cannot buy additional equipment, weapons, or armor for the Warwolves. Each Warwolf is encased in a nigh impregnable suit of Tartarus armor that is reflected in its profile. And additionally, each Warwolf has a set of shredding claws and a vicious chainsaw mouth. These pieces of equipment are built into the integrity of the construction and cannot be removed or lost in any way. The weapons are detailed below, of course. The Warwolf can make 1 attack action with each of these weapons in melee combat. So that's 2 attacks in combat. It may make no other attacks during its activation. Now, if you're playing against this big bad boy, you want to shoot the heck out of it before it gets anywhere close to you, because it's gonna tear you up. So the chainmaw is the Warwolf treats his chain mouth as a melee weapon with the keyword risky, so it's a risky action, and that grants plus 1 dice bonus to hit, so for a total of plus 3 dice, because in his profile. And then the attack ignores any armor worn by the target, has a plus 1 dice bonus to injure. So the chainsaw mouth does not take any hands to wield. So the Warwolf retreats the shredding claws. He treats his shredding claws as a 2-handed melee weapon with the keywords risky and cumbersome. The shredding claws have a plus 1 dice bonus to injure. Because the shredding claws are wielded alongside the chainsaw mouth, they are treated as an offhand weapon and suffer penalties accordingly. So that's pretty nasty armament you got there. He also has the keyword tough. They're huge creatures and unnatural vitality, and they're subject for the rules of tough. Looping dash. A Warwolf may take its dash action with plus 2 dice. The Warwolf ignores movement penalties caused by difficult terrain as well, so he can pretty much go anywhere, and he's also terrifying. So a Warwolf is a blasphemous creation of hell and causes fear. So he has that fear special rule in melee combat. If you don't have fear, oh, I feel bad for you. Also, it has the artificial rule right here, the meaning that it's an artificial construct, basically. And of course, tough, heretic, etc. Now the artillery witches, the staple of the Heretic Legion. And you may include 0 to 2 artillery witches in a warband with more than 1,000 ducats. Obviously, if you're playing a storyline, you start with 700 and you will work your way up to 1,000 ducats to where you'll be able to take 2 of these, right? Now, she has no bonus in ranged but she has a negative in melee. You don't want to get her close to anyone, and it is always equipped with an endless supply of infernal bombs. It can carry no other ranged weapons. Otherwise, she can be equipped with any melee weapons, armor, or equipment from the Heretic Legion Armory. So, Infernal Bomb. This thing is pretty great. This wicked infernal weapon is treated as a one-handed ranged weapon with the keyword blast with 3-inch template, 3-inch radius. Specify a 1 by 1 millimeter point on the battlefield within 36 inches of the witch. You can see that you want to target. So next, make a ranged attack action. If the roll fails, you roll a 6 or less with the two lowest dice. The bomb lands 1 inch away from its intended location, multiplied by the number represented the degree of failure. So for example, if you rolled a 5, the bomb lands 2 inches away, as 7 minus 5 is 2. So pretty easy. So, but the direction is decided by your opponent. You roll on the injury chart for each model within the blast radius. So if the bomb lands exactly on top of the model, roll 3d6 on the injury chart and add the dice together. So that is pretty nasty if it hits. And it has the keyword shrapnel, and therefore causes additional +1 blood marker. So cover, range, and higher positions do not affect the attacks of the Infernal Bomb. You roll injuries for the models that would benefit from cover from the perspective of the blast point with a -1 dice. The activation of the witch ends immediately after using the Infernal Bomb. So, artificial life means the artillery witch is not affected by fear. So additionally, attacks with the keyword gas suffer a -1 dice penalty to injure the witch, and they do not suffer additional blood markers from the keyword gas. So, levitate, the artillery witch can climb up without taking an action and does not roll on the injury chart when falling. So there you go. She's also artificial. And then we get to the wretched. So your warband can include as many of these as you want, as long as they're outnumbered by the models with the keyword heretic. So if you have all the characters, if you have 7 characters, you can have 6 of these guys. They're cheap infantry. They get -1/-1, no armor, or unless you put some on them. So it can be equipped with any melee weapons, armor, and equipment from the Heretic Army list, and none of their weapons, armor, equipment can cost more than 10 ducats. So there you go. So these are just kind of chaff you throw out there just to cause a little bit of hell. No pun intended. So if the wretch manages to take an enemy elite model out of action or performs a glorious deed, it gains its freedom and is immediately removed from the battle and from your warband permanently. So it does not count as a casualty, but your warband's total size for the battle is reduced by 1 for the purposes of morale. So, they gain their freedom if they take out someone who's elite. In Dark Blessing, if the wretch is taken out of action in battle, one of your models with the keywords heretic and elite gains 1 blessing marker, which is an awesome bonus. Chattel Wretched can be sold at any time for their full ducat value between battles. So note that their weapons, armor, and equipment still only fetch half price. That's in between battles. So these guys are just there to wreak havoc and try to kill the big dudes. So I think they're pretty awesome looking, and I would definitely be taking some of these guys as a way to just kind of throw my enemy off and get them all grouped together somehow to take out an elite if we can. So, and that is the Heretic Legion. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, like this video, and leave in the comments. Tell me how you built and how you build your Heretic Legions. That's all I have for now. Ta-ta.